Right, we're back again. There's now had a total of 10 coats on there, 2 zircon and 8 silica coats. All I'm doing at the moment is taking a Dremel and cutting the tops off the vent holes and the sprue. After I've done that, I'll just leave it for a couple of days to make sure it's thoroughly dry, and then when we come back again, that will be for the melt out. Put my eyes on, I can see what I'm doing. So, take the Dremel with a little cutting disc in it. Support the tube, don't put any weight on the tube, otherwise you can break it off. It's still very delicate at this stage. All the way through the coating. Cutting into the wax. And very gently with a screwdriver just break through the wax, leaving the wax in the middle. A nice thick shell on the outside there, look. Last one. Well, that one's come off as a cap. That gives you a little bit of an idea of what a nice finish you get on the inside of the mould. So that'll pick up most detail of the mould. It's a little bit of an overkill for something this size, but if you're doing any fine work, so you can do quite detailed work. I'm machining this afterwards anyway, so the surface finish doesn't really matter. I just want to make sure I'm not getting any air bubbles in the surface. With any luck I won't. So it's the first time I've used that. Right, we're back again. It's been hanging there for 3 days now to thoroughly dry out. Next step is to melt the wax out of the shell. I've seen videos on several different ways of doing this. My main thoughts on the subject, I don't know whether you saw the first video where I put the wax into the aluminium casting to make up a wax slug. Left it overnight, and the shrinkage on the wax was so that I had to put a full saucepan full of wax in to top it up again. I cut about half of that wax away, so basically there's half a saucepan's worth of expansion left in the mould. one of the things you've got to be careful of, if you start to melt the wax inside the mould and there's nowhere for it to escape, you're going to build up pressure inside the mould and stand a chance of cracking your shell, which a bit sickening at this stage. This is the first time I've done one this big, and the little cabinet I had for melting out my other one is too small for this, so I'm going to try it this way first and see what happens. But the main things you have to do is to melt the wax out of the drain points first, so the wax has got somewhere to drain. Don't try and do the melt out too fast. You need to melt the wax away from the block inside and let it drain straight away. If any wax melt inside and there's nowhere for it to drain to, it's going to expand and it's going to build up pressure and crack your mould. So let's see if I can work out some sort of configuration now to get the heat onto that gently to melt it out. There you go, just set a lazy burner up there. So the first one I'm trying to heat up and drain out is the bottom drain hole. Then I will work up the mould, emptying all the drain holes first. Then start at the bottom of the mould and see if we can drain it out from the bottom. Okay, the gas burner is a little bit too hot at this stage. It's getting there, it's slowly burning it out. So revert to the old-fashioned method with the heat gun. It'll take a little while, but I'll use the heat gun to clear out the bottom drain hole, 4 vents, the sprue and the fill holes. Whoops. Come back to you later. Okay, now I've cleared the bottom drain hole for the wax to come out. It's just a dustbin. Bit of copper pipe bent round through little holes drilled in it. Hooked to the gas. And just gentle flames. You can see when the flame is burning nicely. Now all I'm going to do is just cover over the top of that with some cow wool and let that gently come up to temperature until all the wax is gone. Okay, here we are. Sides of the dustbin will get hot, so be careful. Just inside there, see it gently burning away there, that'll bring the temperature up. It's got a little thermometer on the top there. The K-type probe going in so I can keep an eye on how hot it do get in there. Always leave an air vent at the top. Heat's got to be able to circulate round, and make sure the air vent is at the side and not in the middle. That'll direct all the heat to one part of your shell. And that's just the boring part now of letting that slowly bring up the temperature and let all the wax melt out. So I got my pot underneath there to catch the wax. That's had quite a while. The bulk of the wax is now burnt out of it. 1 or 2 small cracks appeared, but they can be filled at a later date, that's no problem. Time to introduce a little bit more heat. So we've got the blower in there, set on a low setting. I'll bring the temperature up a little bit now. even go on to vitrify it. See how the temperature goes. Okay, we've done the burnout. Very disappointing to have a nice big crack gone right up the middle there. And through that top. Never mind, that can be repaired. Can be repaired. As I say, this casting, should it come out, will be machined. So as long as we make sure that we don't fill and have it run inside the barrel, or inside the mould for the barrel should I say, we'll be okay. That crack, if it's on the inside as well, we'll seal it from the outside. It just means we'll have a ridge down the barrel which can be machined off. We'll work with it anyway. We'll work with it and see how it all go. I've mixed. This is quite runny. There's a mixture there of the silicate slurry and the fine silicate sand. So I'm doing it while it's still warm. Let it cool a little bit, but it's still warm. Once again, as it contracts, that nips the slurry up in the crack. You literally just push it down. It's still quite hot actually. Push that mix down into the crack. Actually had a look at this big crack with the torch, and I might be wrong, but it doesn't look like it goes all the way through. Which would indicate that it's probably, through to me, applying uneven heat, as opposed to the wax inside expanding and pushing it from the outside. So I might be wrong, but that's how it looked to me. Bear in mind at this stage that the shell is still quite fragile. I took it up to 450 degrees, but really needs to be taken to about 1000 degrees to fully vitrify it, and I'll need to do that in my foundry dustbin.
Motion detected at the front door.
Simply like that. Leave it to dry and vitrify it, and we'll come back at that stage. Right, now to have a go at vitrifying this, see if we can do it without cracking it up. First thing I've done is drilled a hole in the end there, which we bunged up to stop the slurry going down. The barrel would be sealed, and to take up to 1000 degrees with a sealed barrel, that air's got to go somewhere, so we let it out. And also, if I can, I'd like to use that hole to drop the temperature sensor down so I can measure the temperature actually inside the mould. Right, let's set it up now, see if we can make a start. Okay, once again, the normal little oven I made up fit the smaller one, but the larger one here won't fit into it. So I'm just using my old pig bin foundry. Slide them in there and put it in so the flame, which will be coming in through the bottom here, goes underneath it, then it should swirl around it, heating it reasonably evenly, we hope, all the way up. On the top, bit of cow wool. This time we want the air to vent out from around here because we want the whole lot to heat up at around the same rate. We want to try and get the whole thing to around 1000 degrees. Another layer on top, just leaving a small air vent this side, so there's a little bit of heat can get out there, but most of it will be coming out round the end of the shell there. Just fired up, can't see much down in there. And drop the K probe down inside the barrel. That'll give me a temperature reading from down inside the barrel. So when we get to 1000 degrees on that, we know we should just about be done. Okay, give that a little while now. Come back to you later. Cover him up, cook him like that. Okay, we've been running now for about 10-15 minutes, and we've got a temperature reading on the inside of the oven of 1109, and we're reading about 800 degrees inside the barrel. So the oven's up at 1100 degrees centigrade. Inside the barrel liner, that was reading about 850 degrees centigrade. So I would say we're just about there. Have a look inside. We're all nice and red hot in there. So turn off now and leave it to cool. I'll leave the cover on the top and leave it to cool inside the furnace. Okay, pulled out. It's still a bit warm. Still a bit warm, but so the cracks we repaired up the side there, they've held alright. The one in the pouring cup needs redressing again. There's another little one inside there which need redressing again. But apart from that, all is looking pretty good. Nice and white. I'll let him cool down a bit more. Before it gets right cool, I will dress those cracks in there. Then it should be ready for pouring. Okay.
Someone's at your door.
Right, today's the day. All being well, we'll go for the casting. This is a little bit of experiment again. To heat the mould up and keep the mould hot, I normally use a metal box lined with K-wool, but once again this cannon's too big to fit in there, so I'm hoping that the wooden box don't burn up too much. Just line that with K-wool to heat the mould up, heat some sand up, cover it with sand before we do the pour. Okay, I'll get everything set up and catch up with you then. Got it all set up to start the melt now. Just fired the fan up. You see got quite a bit in there. A little bit more to go in once that melt down. So I'm looking to try and get that crucible about 1 inch away from the top. Bear in mind a lot of this is experimental, so hope it all works okay. So I got my little speed controls there so I can mix the gas and air to get a nice clean hot burn. Alright, we're underway with the heat. Getting nice and red in there. And as for the shell, got a little wooden box there. In the bottom of the box I've got a layer of sand with the shell set on it, and basically the shell's wrapped up in K-wool there, made like a polytunnel for the shell. With any luck we won't get enough heat through there to do any damage to the wooden box, or as long as the wooden box stays in one piece we can always make another one and use that for heating the shell up, I hope. Right, sorry you missed the pour. Battery went flat on the camera. Just recharged, so I've just done the pour. We've got brass coming up through all 5 air holes and sitting in the sprue. So I've literally just finished the pour. And it's shrinking down a little bit. That's got a lot of brass there to suck in before it starts sucking air into the actual mould part. So all I can do now is sit and let that wait for a couple of hours to cool down, break the shell off and see what results we've got. Fingers crossed, eh?
He's on the computer then, do you?
Yeah.
Are you sure they're picking up what you're looking at?
They're picking up what you're saying.
Yeah, I know that, but are they picking up what?
I should imagine so.
Is it a wide angle then, is it?
Yeah.
Cool. Do your dialogue. Houghton Forge, take 6.
As you can hear, I've got my mate here with me. I need him to lift up the crucible, but all he does is stand there and take the piss.
Success, yeah. Four eyebrows and arm hairs all intact, yeah. And what is that? The wisteria bush was bald before you started. Don't you want to get that on your phone? So what's that? That's that half hour.
You're just lifting the whole thing up out of the sand now. Hope it cool down a bit. And dare I say it, but so far so good.
No, you shouldn't have just said that. Can we get it with 2 spades? Or the big grips one end and...
Attempt to lift it out and put it on the concrete.
Yeah. Oh, I just... Yeah, that is... Shall I get the spade in that side? Oh, well, it's cracked there anyway, now. It's cracked all along. So that must have just happened, didn't it?
It's all glowing red at the end.
Yeah, we'll leave it in the
can't.
sand. No,
more concrete.
It is glowing red at the end, isn't it? Space, the final frontier.
As you can see here, I run a split foundry. It's got the base of the dustbin there. Top here, all insulated inside. So when you separate the two, you're just left with the crucible sitting on the base, which makes things a hell of a lot easier, especially when you're lifting that weight of metal to get to the crucible and pour and keep the danger level down a bit. Okay, it's been a little while now sitting out in the cool, and as you can see the shell has started to separate itself down there. Right, I think we're now at a safe stage. It's still hot, but I think we're at a safe stage now to remove the shell. And the exciting bit, see what we've got inside. Heavy. It's been out quite a while now and they're still very hot. A bit more look.
Yeah. There's this odd bit right there where it must have a little clip along the top.
That's when I burnt the wax out. Chisel.
No flat on the top there.
Well, it just not almost gone.
did well to flow down those screws, didn't it?
Yeah, that's why you have to get them old. You don't want it hitting cold and starting to form a skin. There, as you saw the first videos, that is a little square bit of metal which I welded to the fuse hole to suspend the barrel in the middle. Barrel liner has been hanging on that to stop it moving about on the inside, which isn't necessary now. Two marks there where the shell was cracked on the inside, then backward on the patches on the outside. That doesn't matter to me because I'm going to machine this all down anyway. As you can see from there, we've got a little bit of shrinkage in there. I don't know if that'll machine out or not. That might end up a little bit smaller than originally intended. Have to see when I get it on the machine. I think the reason for that is I should have made these vent holes larger. I went larger than the last one, but I don't think I went large enough. You need to keep these vent holes hot, full of molten metal, while the centre starts to shrink. A little bit there. Might get away with it, might not. Won't know until I get it on the lathe. Apart from that, this is the way to go. Use the old SuspendaSlurry. The smaller one I made during the summer. And during the summer I get a coat on in the morning and a coat on in the evening. As it's cold out there now, so the drying time is longer. I think I'd have been better off to just gone for one coat a day. Or keep my garage heated all the while. Cost a small fortune.
Why are you saying that? It's nothing to do with how you made the mould, is it?
No.
That's just it didn't have anywhere to suck more.
So for this size cannon, these want to be bigger, don't they? These probably want to be twice the size. The vents want to be twice the size. So
I think it's just a problem that it is a big cannon, isn't it?
shrinkage, which is a lesson learned. So it's still hot, so that will hold that colour. But the actual surface has come out fine. I can highly recommend SuspendaSlurry. I tried making these using sand, I tried them using plaster, and because of the sheer bulk of the metal at the temperatures you're using, they've all been failures. I found this Ransom & Randolph SuspendaSlurry. Tried that on the small one, that's the first success I had, and this is the second one I've done. So a little bit of shrinkage there, lesson learned. Need larger air vents for a bit of metal this size. Need to keep that liquid in the air vents molten while the core shrink, and the bigger they are, the longer that will hold it molten. Pleased with the product, quite pleased with the result. I'll come back to you again in part 4 when I get it on the machine, start machining it down.
Someone's at your door.
Okay, back again. We've cut the sprue and air vents off of it. And as you can see, we've got no air holes in that at all. That's the air holes. That's the feed. The next job is machining it. I'll make a separate video up for that, for anyone who's interested. In case you wonder where my little helpers had got to, she's taking it easy, as usual, and he's taking it even easier. He don't do much to help. Well, not manual labour anyway.